This video is going to talk about using modules in Flowgorithm. From chapter 3 on, you should have modules in every program. Modules are used to break code into smaller pieces. Every time you get information from the user, that needs to be in a separate module. If you calculate something, that needs to be a separate module. If you want to display something, that needs to be a separate module. As you notice, I have a bunch of declares in the main module: employee name, hours worked, hourly rate, and gross pay. I've got a get employee name, a get hours worked, get hourly rate, calculate gross pay, and a display output. So I have 5 modules because I'm getting 3 things from the user, I'm calculating one thing, and I'm displaying stuff. It's a little different in Flowgorithm than it is in pseudocode. In pseudocode, they have you pass the variables by reference, but in Flowgorithm, you don't need to do that. Also, modules in Flowgorithm are called functions. Let me explain what this program does. This program gets the employee name, the hours worked, and the hourly rate. Then it calculates the gross pay, and then it displays the employee name, hours worked, hourly rate, and gross pay. So the first thing you got to do is determine your variables. The easiest way to determine your variables is to look at the input, which is employee name, hours worked, and hourly rate. Compare that to the output, which I'm outputting employee name, hours worked, hourly rate, and gross pay. Since gross pay is on the output but not on the input, I must calculate that. So again, that's how you check it. You compare your input to your output. If it's on your output but not on your input, then you know you've got to calculate it. So I declared the variables, then I've declared the actual functions. Declare the functions, you go up here and hit the little plus right here, the function. That adds a function. Or you can hit this button right here. This is the function manager. And you can do it here all at once. You can just hit add and just give it a name. So I'm going to, like you say, add, and you name it here. If you're getting something from the user or calculating something, you must have a return variable back to the main module. That's why if I go look on if you go look at this get employee name, and I'm going to do an edit, you can see I have a return variable. Because I can't do a call in Flowgorithm. Anytime you're getting something from the user or calculating something, you must do your call statement on an assign statement. You can't do a regular call because you're returning a variable. And if you don't do it on an assign statement, you're going to get an error because you have no variable to return it to in the main module. So if you notice, the function name is get employee name. I'm not passing anything because I don't have to pass any variables to anything I'm getting from the user. And I have a return variable called emp name. Same here. If I go look at the edit on hourly rate, it's going to be the same thing, except it's going to be get hourly rate, and I'm returning hourly rate. Get hours worked, going to return hours worked. Notice on the calculate gross pay, I've got parameters. Because in order to calculate gross pay, I've got to have the hours worked and the hourly rate. Well, the hours worked and the hourly rate is right here in the main menu. In order to use it over here in the calculate gross pay function, I have to pass it. This hourly rate and hours worked over here in the main module is a local variable. It's only available in the main module. In order to use it in the calculate gross pay module, I have to pass it. So you pass it as what they call an argument, and you accept it as what they call a parameter. So once I pass hourly rate and hours worked from the main into the calculate gross pay, it's going to go in HRS worked and HRLY rate. So I'm going to have 2 variables with the same information in 2 different locations. And then I'm going to return GPay. So now let's look at the call statement. See, the call statement I have on an assign statement. Since I'm returning something back, I've got to have a variable to return it to. That's the way you can double check. If you have a return statement on your function, then you know you must do a call using an assign statement. If you don't, it's going to give an error. Look at my call statement right here. I'm passing hours worked and hourly rate. They have to match what I'm accepting as parameters in my function. And if you remember correctly, I accepted hours worked and hourly rate in my function header. They have to be passed in the order that you accept them. So if I passed hourly rate and then hours worked, it would be wrong, although the calculation would be correct because I'm doing a multiplication. But you must make sure that your arguments match your parameters. What I mean by match your parameters, if I'm passing 2 real variables, then it wouldn't crash. But if I'm passing a string and a real, or a string and an int, and my parameters accepting an int and a string in different order, it would crash and give you an error saying that, hey, you know, your parameters doesn't match. So not only do you have to pass the same number that you're accepting, you have to pass them in the correct order. All right, so the way the program's going to work, I'm declaring these 4 variables, and that's going to create a space in memory to hold them. Then I say employee name equals get employee name. It's going to branch out over here to the get employee name module, which again in Flowgorithm is a function. And I've got to declare string emp name because employee name not available here. So then I say enter employee name, input emp name, return emp name. So I declared it, input, and return. Those variables have to match. Those names have to be spelled exactly correct. Same when I go to get hours worked and hourly rate. I declare hours worked, enter hours worked, input hours worked, return hours worked. When it executes this, like it'll do this, then it say return hours worked, it returns it back to the main menu right where I called that function from. And in this example, it returned it right into the hours worked variable that's local to the main module. And then on the display output, I'm just doing a regular call statement because I'm not returning anything. And I'm passing the 4 things that I want to output. And let me show you that module. Notice there's no return statement. That's why I can use a call. I have a parameters declared in the exact same order that the arguments were passed. I passed 4 of them. I declared 4 of them. This is the order I passed them in. That's the order I declared them in. Then I just output them just like regular. So let me run the program so you can see how it works. Then employee name, hours worked, hourly rate, and then I always put 10 and 40 because I know that's 400. I notice some people they'll put $18.65 and they have to get the calculator out to make sure it works. Just put something you can do in your head. As you can see, my spacing's correct. I have a space after the colon, so on. So I know this program's working correctly. Let's talk about output for a minute. It's up to you how you want to do it. I know the book would be like the employee name is. Always capitalize the first letter on your output. It's in texting. But whatever way you do it, be consistent. What I mean by that is I capitalize the first letter of each word and I use the colon space. And you notice all of them's that way. So again, that's your preference. Just be consistent. If not, I'm going to count off or write a little message for you. Let me know if you have any questions. I hope this video helped.